Gentlemen, welcome back to the Tiege Hanley Starting a Business, Building a Brand vlog. This one, big number 368. So today I want to do a few things. Number one, I want to tell you, give you a little cyber update on Tiege Hanley. I also want to talk a little bit about my wife because it's something I don't talk about much, and something recently happened for her and her career that was pretty big, a big milestone for her. And I just wanted to talk and tell you a little bit about it. And then I also want to get to some of your amazing business questions. So first things first, cyber, like Thursday, like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that whole thing, like Tiege Hanley, wow. We knew that it was going to be good. We didn't know that it was going to be that good. We absolutely set records that we have never seen before. Our Amazon sales were insane. Our .com business was insane. We just sold a ton of the mega box, right? That was our big offer. We were basically giving like over $100 worth of value for like under 50. And the mega box was amazing, huge success. And we just sold so many of them, which is awesome. It's not awesome though for the fulfillment aspect of Tiege Hanley, right? Lots of work, lots of time, lots of people working overtime to get all the orders out. Same thing kind of happened with Cyber Monday. It's just been a really exciting holiday season. We've had decent holiday seasons before, but something like, it's weird. There's been like a switch or something that has been flipped at Tiege Hanley. And you know, we're firing on cylinders that we have never fired on before. And so a lot of great things are happening. Next year, I think we're going to be doing if we can continue to learn and we continue to spend money wisely and we continue to sort of invest where the investment makes sense, I think we're going to next year get to like some big numbers in terms of Tiege Hanley. And so super exciting, honestly. And Kelly tomorrow is coming into town, which I'm excited about. We're going to go to dinner. And we're going to talk a little bit about Tiege and about kind of the future and what that looks like. And it's just a great opportunity. I haven't seen Kelly in a while, and he took it upon himself to come to town. He's going to stay at my place, and we're gonna go eat, and we're just gonna have a good time. And this year versus last year, like I said, looks a lot different for Tiege Hanley. Last year, we were cutting expenses, we were overspending. This year, we've righted the ship and we pointed in the more profitable direction, and things are looking very different this year at the end of the year versus last year at the end of the year. Something else that looks different is my wife's employment. So I don't talk about my wife all that much. Just to give you a little bit of a backstory on my wife, she's one of the most inspirational people that I've ever met. She left home when she was very young at 16 and started working super young, right? Kind of a dysfunctional family situation, and so she got out of there. She also she was sleeping on like couches and stuff like that throughout high school, and she graduated high school. She did not go to college, she worked. And so from a very young age, from like 16 on, my wife has always had either one job or two jobs, in some instances like three jobs. And it's one of the things that I just admire so much about her is that she is a fighter and she has done incredibly well for herself. And so, she's always been a little bit insecure and felt weird whenever, around people, the fact that she didn't go to college. But college is not for everybody. And so for her, she did really well. She kind of climbed the corporate ladder. She, got different jobs, and she started as a admin in this product rep group for Home Depot and just worked her way up. And then when the economy tanked, she lost her job because she had worked for a product rep group that basically the way that it worked, Home Depot used to have all these companies that basically would represent different sections in the Home Depot. Like paint would be one company. They'd come in and basically change out all the inventory. They changed the signage and verbiage and stuff like that. So my wife's company did that. My wife worked her way up till she was making over six figures, right? When I met my wife, she was making a lot more money than I was. I was at the time making $24,000 a year, right? And she was almost making six figures. And so climbed the ranks there. And then when the economy tanked back in 2006 or 7, all of the product rep groups basically went to zero because Home Depot was like, all right, we're going to take everything in-house. Building was in a free fall, and lots of things, all these companies were like, what do we do? How do we save money? And one way that Home Depot saved money was by getting rid of all of these product representative groups that were coming in and handling a lot of the merchandising and SKUs in the Home Depot stores. And so literally, like overnight, you had hundreds of these product rep groups just go out of business, which is a little business lesson, because Home Depot did not allow you to work with other companies or their competitors like Lowe's. And so if you were Home Depot, you were Home Depot. The other interesting thing about Home Depot, they actually came in and looked at your books to see how much money you were making, but also what you were paying your employees. And so it was kind of like, I think of it kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like you're making money because of daddy, but daddy's going to ultimately tell you what you can and can't do. And so it was not a very, strong position in terms of a company. Now, the truth is that the owners of the company that my wife was working at did really well. They were making, $1 million a year, $2 million a year. So they did really well. But when you have all of your eggs in one basket and something happens, you know the story, right? The basket falls and you're out of business. Well, this is what happened. And so in 2006 or 7, my wife went from making like 6 figures a year to she was unemployed. They fired everybody. They laid everybody off because they were fired by their only client, Home Depot. And so she started working her way back up, right? Got a job working for a general contractor that did a lot of work, a lot of government road work and stuff like that. And so she learned to sort of do proposals for some of these big, government contracts. And so from there, then she went and got a job at a big architecture firm where she was writing proposals for them. And then from there, she hated that job because her boss was an asshole. She got another job and with a engineering firm. And she was basically the one writing all of the proposals for this engineering firm. And the engineering firm that she ended up, working for was a really big company. And she was like the marketing, coordinator, director. She had a bunch of people under her. She did an incredible job. And once again, moving up the corporate ladder, over 6 figures a year. Now, a few things about my wife and I. We have never, and still never have shared a bank account. Literally, we don't have a bank account together, which a lot of people don't understand because you're like, wait, you're married. Her money's your money's her money. And it's true. It's the truth. We've also never filed taxes jointly. It's always been separate because one of the things that I was super insecure about when we kind of got together early on is that she was somebody who was doing well, right? She was making a lot of money. She was driving a nice car. And, she had her own house. When I met my wife, she bought her own house. Like, my wife's an ass kicker. She's also very good with money. She's not a spender. She's a saver. And so one of the big things is I want to retire. I want to retire when I'm young. And so I'm going to start like really squirreling money away and figuring that whole thing out. Because unlike me, my wife is not an entrepreneur. She does not want to work for herself, and she doesn't love going into work, and she loves her weekends, and she loves her hobbies, and she loves kind of doing her thing. So anyway, so when we got together, I was super insecure about the fact that she made all the money, or she made a lot more money than I did. And then when I closed my business, I went to literally zero. I was working at a golf course on weekends just to basically put gas in my car and pay her a little bit of money for groceries and rent. Well, my wife is such a sweet thing. She was like, well, if you're going to work on the weekends, then I'm going to work on the weekends, and I'm going to get a job doing the same thing you're doing at the same golf course. And so my wife came and actually, so that she could be with me on the weekends, she got a job driving a beer cart, which is, I enjoyed it because it was mindless, but she likes her weekends, and it was very, very sweet of her. And so anyway, so as you can see, my wife and I have been, kind of ride or die from the beginning. And so as I've started to make more money, and the first house we bought together, it was all in her name. And because I had just, filed bankruptcy or getting ready to file bankruptcy, and I didn't really have, a W-2 in terms of a wage, and I was still an entrepreneur and trying to figure it all out. And so she bought the first house that we lived in together, and she's kind of been like the breadwinner, right? Up until I started to figure things out online. And this wasn't that long ago. But anyway, one of the things that we've never done is, like I said, we've never had a joint bank account because I've always been like, your money is your money, my money is our money, and if you need money, whatever. But she was really great about saving, and she was making, like I said, she was making over 6 figures. But it's become, once we moved her mom down from Asheville, North Carolina, it became a lot harder for her to work. And she was like, well, I really want to retire. And I'm like, well, you can't. And so at first I was like, well, you can't retire because we need health insurance, right? Her company had really great health insurance. But then Tiege Hanley implemented an insurance plan and program, and it was better than her company. So now all of a sudden, like, I'm insuring both of us. So that kind of excuse for me wanting her to work went away. Now, the truth is that I have not wanted her to not work. We don't have children. And so I think, all right, you'd be bored. I felt like I was trying to like protect her from herself, because the reason why you love weekends, the reason why you love vacations and you live, and get excited about that is because you don't get to do it every day. My thinking was, if you get to do it every day, or you don't have a schedule or a routine or a regimen, you're not going to be as fulfilled, you're not going to be as happy, you're not going to enjoy the free time. But anyway, my wife has always been the person that was like, I want to retire. I want to retire young. I don't want to work until I'm 80. I want to save my money. And so my wife has been investing her money very, very wisely. I take care of all the bills, all the expenses and everything like that, including her mother. And so everything my wife was making, she was basically like saving. On top of that, she also is an employee of my company. And so I, for the past few years, probably like 4 years, set her up a retirement account, and I also, for my company, and match it, and you can have like certain people. So I'm able to save a lot of money for her. I also pay her a salary. So my wife makes a lot of money, right? And so the extra money that she was making from her job was just like kind of like, it was like kind of like bonus money that she was saving and doing whatever. Well, when her mom got here and got sick, we kind of had the deal. She's like, well, I want to retire. And everybody's like, well, Aaron, you make enough money, she could literally retire, because the money she makes like matters to me like zero. Like, I don't get it. I don't see it. I don't even have access to her bank accounts. And so she's like, I want to retire. And then the reason why I was like, no, you can't, is because your mom is here, right? And so she felt guilty retiring, even though she's making money from herself and I'm paying her a salary that she could literally retire and just, do whatever she wanted. It was her mother. And so then when her mother passed away, it was like, all right, so what is my reasoning for wanting you to work now? And then I basically had, her and I had this, conversation. I'm like, you know what? The decision is yours. I don't want to be kind of like the gatekeeper for this decision. I didn't want to be the person being like, yes, you can, no, you can't. I was always encouraging her not to, because it just didn't make any sense to me, and I felt like she'd be bored and all that good stuff. But once her mother passed away, and some other things happened, like with her job and stuff like that, she stopped loving, or she never like loved her job. She's had a job that she used to have that she really liked, and she loved the people, but it became harder for her to do her job. Now, the good news is that for the past few years, COVID happened. So she was able to work from home. So it was kind of like semi-retirement, right? And so, she had a few things happen that kind of like all like kind of came together, and she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm like, all right, then don't. And I support you in whatever you choose to do. And that's kind of what happened. So about a month ago, 2 months ago, she put in her notice, and she retired. And it was funny, on a Tuesday, the Tuesday after she retired, she looked at me and she goes, I feel like I need a little bit of direction and a little bit of schedule. And so what she's been doing is doing some volunteer work, and she's figuring it out. She's given herself the rest of the year to kind of just decompress. And she's going to figure it out. And when she does, she might, decide to bake cookies. I don't know what she wants to do, but she literally has the opportunity to do whatever. And I'm very thankful and feel very fortunate that I'm able to do it now. Now, the truth is that if someday I can't, then she'll go back to work and do whatever she needs to do. My wife will figure it out. But I just wanted to come on and tell you kind of the interesting dynamic that my wife and I have. I know that it's different, and I know that a lot of people don't understand it, and the fact that we don't have children changes things, and the bank accounts, like I get it. But I just wanted to kind of share something that we are dealing with, or that I should say that we had the opportunity to take, and she took it, and so now, you know, she's doing a really good job. She's nesting. She's doing a lot. Like I'm like, everything is like done. I don't have to like do any like housework or anything like that. And she's like, just leave the dishes. And I'm like, yeah, right. You're going to resent me in another 2 months if I don't do any dishes. But anyway, I'm really proud of her, and I'm excited to see what she does. The world is her oyster. She's young. She's my age. She's 46 years old, and she literally has the rest of her life to do whatever, unless, like I said, we come into some financial hardships, and then her ass is going back to work. So I just recorded like a 10-minute section of business questions and realized something. I didn't actually press play. That is like, if you're a YouTuber, that is like the mic on and like something like that. That sucks. Anyway, let me do this again. It's probably not going to be as good of an answer because now I'm like, shit, I'm tired. I'm done. All right. So business question. If you've got a business question down below, start it with business question and ask. Each week we try to get to a few of them, some weeks more than others. This week we've got a great business question that I am somewhat, a little bit, qualified to speak on, which is great because a lot of times I've got no clue and I'm just shooting in the dark. It's from our friend Business Engineered 9596. He says, hey Alpha, what advice would you have for setting up a salon? My parents are selling their businesses and want to invest in a franchise salon suite. They have a friend who's already successful in the business and is informally mentoring them through the process. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So, all right, so salon suites, think of it as like a WeWork or a shared like working environment for hairstylists, where the entrepreneur or the business owner of the salon suites will go and they will lease a large space. Typically, they're not going to be in like A centers in terms of shopping centers. Like an A center is like a Whole Foods. Typically, a B center is going to be Whole Foods or a Target. A B center is going to be like a Kroger or a grocery store. And a C center is going to be like a dollar store, Big Lots, those type of stores. Anyway, typically what you're going to find is in a salon suites, you're not going to go A center because the space per or the price per square foot is just really expensive. And the whole way a salon suite makes money is by renting spaces. They'll go in, they'll rent the space, they'll secure the lease, they'll get the utilities set up and everything like that. And then they'll basically just break it up. And then they will have a stylist or a barber come in, rent a space. And the space is literally like it's a little room. Like they build little rooms in this facility. And then you rent them out. So the upside to this is that you really don't have to be super like hands-on all the time. It's kind of like a set it and forget it and somewhat passive kind of revenue stream, right? Now, the downside to it is that you have to basically, you're limited or you're capped, right? If you have, say, you've got a space, you break it up into 20 spots, you've got 20 spots, $1,000 a piece or whatever it is, you're going to make $20,000 a month. Now, maybe your fees or your expenses on the lease is $10,000. Maybe with taxes and everything, it's $12,000 or whatever. So you're going to pocket the rest, and it's, you know, kind of, it's profit. But if you don't rent the space, you don't get that money. The other issue is that you're kind of capped or limited in terms of your potential. If you want to make more money, you can't necessarily get more space, or you could expand it if there's a vacant space next door, or you could raise the rates and the rent. But the higher you raise it, there are other facilities and places like this out there. And so your customers are actually the salon, the stylists and barbers. Customer loyalty is like zero, right? They're going to go to where they can have a good location and make the most money. The other downside to a barber or a stylist going into one of these spaces is that typically it doesn't work for somebody just starting. A lot of times it's somebody that's already got an existing clientele that they can just be like, hey, come over here. This is where my new address is. Because with a salon suites, you're getting zero walk-in traffic typically. Where if you're going to a salon, right, like a salon posta, you're getting a lot of people every day calling up, going to the website, coming in, being like, hey, I want to get my hair cut. I'll try. And so as a stylist, you get to build your book by walk-in traffic, which is incredibly valuable. But in a salon suites, there's zero of that because nobody's walking in and you're basically limited to your own ability to generate customers, referrals, or get people to use your service. But I think it's a great business, honestly. If that's the type of business that gets you excited, I think you are limited to some degree, but you could always open multiple locations or get a big one if there's a demand in your area. But yeah, I think that it's going to come down to marketing. You've got to market to the salon stylists and the barbers, and marketing to them can be a little bit shady because we've had it happen at Salon Post-it, right? We built somebody's book of clients up, and then they're like, "Oh, look at how much money I could make if I did all of these appointments myself." And so they'll leave and they'll get a Salon Suites, space. And not thinking that, okay, yes, you're paying, the salon a percentage, but now you're in charge of all of your products, you're in charge of marketing, you're in charge of all your expenses, you're going to not make as much money as you think. But, that's for them to figure out. Anyway, I think it's a great business. I think that it's definitely something interesting if you have the ability, and sounds like you do, so good luck, congratulations, and let us know how it goes. The next business question is from our friend user DL50Q50N8H. These new handles that everybody has is a little messing me up. From the perspective of an aspiring YouTube content creator, what are some lessons learned and filming, editing tips and tricks and filming gear that has helped? So this is a pretty loaded question. One tip I've already given you: make sure that it is recording and your mic is actually on. The next tip I'd like to give you is this little mic that I wear, right? It's a little tiny, actually, looks like this. Looks like this. Little clip, and it just literally clips on like that, right? It comes with two of them. There's two in a set, and it's got a little transmitter up here, and it's wireless up to 100 feet or 100 yards. It's really an incredible product. It's called the Pico wireless mic. That's Picogear. These things are amazing and definitely great for, sitting and doing video like this. The shotgun mics are better, actually, in my opinion, for running around and talking to people and getting multiple people engaged. But just one-on-one, you talking, these things are amazing. They also come with a windscreen and just do it. Just get out there and do it. It's just about you not being obsessed with perfection and just getting out there. You never know where it'll lead. Look at where it led me. All of this. Anyway, it kind of did. And that's it. Just two business questions. All right, fine. Here, listen. I need you to engage with me so I'm not sitting here talking to myself because I'm not that interesting. Gentlemen, if you have a business question down below, start with business question and ask it. Next week, I'm going to hopefully get to more than two, but one thing I will tell you is this. Thank you so much for your support with Tiege Hanley, with Black Friday, Cyber Monday. We crushed it. Thanks to you. And as always, we love you more than our double Monka strap. This is getting weird. We love you more than our double monk strap shoes. See you next week.